Brand new exotic knee pads, the Blacklisters, have just arrived in the Division 2. And today I'm going to walk you through them, how to get them, and give you the best build for them. Lock and load. Let's do this.
Accept it, Division. This is a war you can't win.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
Freak out, yo.
Real quick, how do you get these? Well, these can only be acquired by completing the Climax Manhunt mission. The first time you complete the Manhunt on Master difficulty, it's a guaranteed drop. Otherwise, if you're going to play it on Heroic or any other difficulty, it's going to be up to RNG. Check out this damage. I mean, these guys didn't even have a chance to shoot. With the Pestilence build, I am critting over 5 million on the head. Guys, that's sniper level damage. That's ridiculous, right? And look at this one. Look at that tick. That is a real number. Now, that's crazy high. That can't be right. Now, you're not going to see the tick get this high very often because everything just dies too quick. So it's rare to see the ticks actually stack up because everybody's dead. The reason why we got to see the ticks stack up here is because there were 3 healing stations down and the ticks got to stack up and then work their way around to the healing stations. We got to see how much damage this thing can produce. So yeah, they are applying to Plague of the Outcast, but that damage should not be that high. There's some weird interaction. Seems like it's looping its amplified damage, but that's a ridiculously high number. There's no way the devs intended it to be this way. But right now with this build using these knee pads, that is the fastest time to kill I have ever seen in the Division 2. So expected damage to be corrected. The Blacklisters, so they come with weapon damage and crit chance and crit damage. So shooting an enemy applies a mark. Only one mark can be active at a time. The mark disappears after 15 seconds or when the marked enemy dies. So receive 600% amplified damage from the marked enemy. So that's incoming damage to you. Deal 20% amplified damage to unmarked enemies. If only one enemy remains in combat, then basically nothing works. So your eyes probably widened when you saw the 600% amplified damage. And I get it, it sounds scary. But to put this into perspective, it's not as scary as it seems. For one, it's only one enemy that has that incoming damage to you, the one that you mark. And how do you mark enemies? Well, you mark them by shooting them. Is the 20% amplified damage a good trade-off for that? Well, I think so. Not necessarily for every type of build or playstyle, but for those especially that play from behind cover, like your average assault rifle build, then this is going to pair up really nicely. Here's something that you need to know about the Blacklisters. They're basically a softened, not as hardcore version of Glass Cannon. So if you look at the sacrifice, all damage you deal is amplified by 30% and all damage you take is amplified by 60%. And so although this says 600% amplified damage, it might as well just say 60%. It's like basically the same. You're either glassy or you're glassy. The real reason why I draw the comparison is because there's a mechanic in the game that keeps you from going all the way down with Glass Cannon. They can break your shield and take away all your health, but there will be a sliver left, buying you time to react, whether to get in cover, throw on an armor kit, or just to eliminate that target. So the Blacklist knee pads take that same mechanic into account, except Glass Cannon is a little bit more challenging because you have that incoming amplified damage from all sources, where the Blacklisters are only from the source that you marked. So it's definitely less dangerous, but it's also less rewarding because it's only 20% amplified damage. Otherwise, they're Glass Cannon on your knees. Very simple. The mechanic is pretty straightforward. When you run them, you're not going to be thinking about it too much because the enemies just die so fast. It's hard to be really selective on who you mark because all the spawns come in waves of like 3 to 5 enemies. They're eliminated within seconds, not leaving you much time to be super choosy about who you're marking and who you're not. Bugged or not, this is the best build for these knee pads because it's got amazing synergy. So besides the knee pads, I decided to go ahead and pair it up with the sacrifice for that perfect Glass Cannon. Totally optional, but I like the synergy here because this is giving us 30% amplified damage. The other one's giving 20% amplified damage, and either way you can have that safety mechanic that keeps you from going down when your armor breaks. But the real catch is the blue screen. Because of the talent disruptor rounds, which basically puts a status effect on all the enemies that you mark, when you kill one of them, all of them are going to stagger be pulsed, be disrupted. And so they don't have much chance to shoot back at you because of that. On top of that, your time to kill is so fast, they don't have much of a chance either. And then you have your suppression capability if you need it. So everything you see on this build all has synergizes because they all have an incentive to not focus fire on a single target. So starting with the knee pads, mark a target and then get your amplified damage on everybody but that target. Negotiator's Dilemma, mark up to 3 targets and get 112% damage on marked targets. And the blue screen wants you to mark as many targets as possible, so that way your disruptor rounds can status effect or crowd control the entire checkpoint. Perfect synergy, and why this setup I believe is the best setup for these knee pads. If you didn't want to run glass cannon, that's totally optional because it does bring more risk to the build, but we're playing in cover. I found it very helpful to use a decoy. I'm using right now the assault turret as a decoy for doing solo legendary, but the regular decoy is also good if you're playing in group. But if you're playing in group or you're using decoys, then glass cannon isn't as risky. All of the gameplay footage, I'm not utilizing the active modifier, which would give me a lot more damage than what you're seeing happening in the gameplay footage. So be aware of that my time to kill would actually go up if I turned that bad boy on, and I'd be invulnerable. So when you're invulnerable, there is no downside to the glass cannon from the knees or the chest piece. Let's zoom into the build. So Negotiators is going to give you crit chance and crit damage, and then Hostile Negotiations, which is going to allow you to mark up to 3 targets and then apply damage to all 3 targets at the same time as long as you're critting. So you need to maximize your crit chance and then roll everything else into crit damage. So the backpack is key for this build, or is best in slot for the Negotiator setup. So I have crits throughout, but what it does is increase the damage that's being applied to the additional targets to 112%. The gloves have weapon damage and crit damage. The holster is the same. We have the Sacrifice, which is headshot damage and crits, and then glass cannon, and then the knees. For backup weapon, I'm just using the Lud, but I'm not really using it too much. The pistol, I do recommend the quick step on this so that you can move fast in between checkpoints. For modifiers, we have the Divide and Conquer, Zealot, definitely worth using, Rupert's Terror, Stepping Stone, and this one changes depending on the faction. I'm using Gunner for the additional ammo, and also that gives me 10% armor on kill. You could also run Palisades for your chest piece and get another 10% armor on kill and put glass cannon on that. Stats, I'm at 60% crit chance, 123% crit damage, and this crit damage goes up. So I forgot to mention that. So Hostile Negotiations also gives you 2% crit damage for every target you kill. That stacks 20. So you get 40% crit damage. So yeah, the knee pads aren't very complicated. They're simple to understand, really easy to use. I don't even think about it. And that's why it's especially helpful to be running a build where you're not doing a lot of focus firing, where you're spreading the damage across multiple targets. And that's exactly what I'm giving you here today. Enjoy this build, tweak it to make it your own, and I'll see you at the rendezvous. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?